Welcome to Startup Review. So this idea came to me actually probably a month ago, right before Kuhn Foods, whatever they're called, actually collapsed. I had an idea of coming together, bringing a few individuals who don't mind like debating around startup ideas and problems. And why am I doing this is because I care about the problems that we're solving in Kenya, in Africa as a whole. I care about the process that goes into, defining what the problem is, how it's going to look, the solution. Also not a big believer that all problems need a technical solution. Those are a few of the reasons why I'm doing the startup review. So welcome. We will start off with just like a very quick round of intro to the folks here. Start with you, Aura.
Okay, my name is Chris Oro. Currently, I'm head of data at Sandy. I've worked for many startups. I love startup life.
Awesome, cool.
My name is Remy Ngatia. Currently, I'm the senior strategic designer for O&M, and I consult for startups as well.
Michael Mishi, CTO at Solve Kenya. I have consulted for a few startups. I'm now in a startup right now.
Cool. A startup in a bank. Is it a startup? But anyway, that's a conversation for another day. All right, cool. So we have we debated about the first startup. Chris wants to poke holes at this startup, and Remy is very pro this startup. I'm a moderator, and Michelle will just be pitching in. So the first startup is Wowzi, WOWZI. So basically what they try and do is connect influencers to bigger brands and make sure that they're like being paid and compensated right. And I love their vision. They want to have 1 million jobs from Generation Z or Z in 2021 or 2022. I'm not too sure how that's going, but we'll get right into it. I guess my first question, can anyone explain to me what an influencer is?
Yeah, sure. One of the things that I've just thought about, think about in the early 90s, when you knew like Michael Jordan, who was very good at basketball, Mike Tyson, very good at boxing. And when Michael Jordan stopped playing and then started his shoe line, the Jordans. And they did very well, and people loved it. He influenced people to purchase those particular goods. But he had a backing.
Yes.
He was very good at something, and then he translated that into an audience and influence. So that if you're wearing Jordan, sports shoes, you feel like, I'm Michael Jordan. Yeah. He influenced you so that ability to make people like something or drives people to a certain direction or action. I think that's the act of influencing somebody. So I think it starts by being good at something, then building an audience around it, and then now that audience has some ethos, like Michael Jackson walking shoes or something of that sort.
I think from a psychological point of view, an influencer is a popular person who has the ability to kind of evoke emotion that will make you engage or partake in what they believe in themselves.
I like they believe in themselves.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've kind of defined what an influencer is. I don't know, Michael, did you have anything to add to that?
I'm just absorbing the two definitions, and I've seen it as a journey. You have to actually be good at something that you're doing, bring in an audience, then you become that influencer. I don't think there's a shortcut to it.
All right.
There could be.
I like the natural path of
You
it.
can buy followers.
Think about it. I like, let's say, prior to maybe, I think for me everything died after 2005. Music, arts, sports.
Wow. So
everything just went to the
Digital,
dogs.
yeah.
Because prior to that, anyone who was considered an influencer prior to the current definition was very good at something, and people even if you're not interested in certain, like Tiger Woods, everyone knew like he was a good golfer, anything like that. So I'm just astonished. Like, I know Cardi B is an influential person.
Tiger Woods was a very special case. He was a token.
Okay, but the thing
In
is,
the
like,
golfing
if you
world,
ask anyone
yeah.
what Tiger Woods does
Yeah.
for a living,
Golf.
everyone will be very easy to
Golf.
dislike golf, and he has won multiple PGA tours and etc.
The first African American golfer is a big thing.
It's great, but the question is like, for example, I know Cardi B. I've never listened to any of her music. I know she's somehow influential because I see everything on Twitter about what she does. Or the Kenyan South African lady, Elsa Majimbo.
Oh yeah.
Right now she's like signed multiple deals and all kind of stuff. You know, I've never watched anything about her. I only watch about people bashing her and supporting her on Twitter. So the act that you must be good at something, I don't know whether Elsa is good at something. I don't know what she's good at. I'm not saying that, but the only thing I know that she's famous, and I think that's what we were talking before this. Like, you reach for the fame, and it's not backed up with
Like anything, like the Jordan case.
like the Jordan case, Tiger Woods, Mike Tyson, and all the guys we wished we would like to be when we were young. When you were young, would you say I'd like to be Kim Kardashian?
No.
So that's like now the disconnect where now influence you don't have to be.
But the fact that she has some influence means she's good at something. Maybe
She's good at influencing.
we can't ignore that. The data supports it.
But see, I actually think there's a different view. There's influence, or let me call it being known, and it's actually driving action. Because if you give Kim Kardashian a bunch of chocolate, today sell this chocolate, maybe she might have a very big trouble selling it, but she won't lack an audience for whatever she's doing. One of the things I've found very hard is to track, like, let's say give an influencer whatever you're selling and ask them to translate that into sales. Translating that to sales is the hardest part of the influential business. Just putting it out there and letting people know that this exists, that's easy. So because you have 1 million plus followers, then you can just push it out there. But actually driving that behavior of purchase, that's why I like Michael Jordan could easily convince people that this is the best shoe that you'll ever wear and price it at premium.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So I've loved how we've defined it. It seems like a gray area, this influence thing. It's very circular in some sort. Bring it back to the startup, Wowzi. So Wowzi wants to create a platform for these influencers. And from what I understand, I don't know who has a better understanding. I think, Remy, you love this platform. Do you want to give like of what does a platform do? Like the different tiers of influencers? Yeah.
I wouldn't say I love the platform. I like the vision they're trying to build. So from my understanding, Wowzi is trying to bridge a problem of trust between brands and the end users. And they build that problem of trust using influencers.
Yeah.
So there are 3 tiers of influencers according to the segmenting. So there's the super influencer, which they define as the Lupita Nyong'os.
Super influencer.
Yeah, super.
Okay.
Then there's Meta, ones like Eric Omondi, 1 million around there.
Yep.
Then there's Nano, who are just regular people like
us guys.
Like us guys. So in a way, they're trying to kind of decentralize the whole aspect of being an influencer by giving those opportunities to every person in the food chain.
Yeah.
I'll say, yeah.
Okay, and then they are, you're being incentivized, you're being paid for this. Okay.
Yes.
Awesome, cool.
But I don't think there's a very bad premise with that. Let's assume you're on Twitter or Facebook and you follow somebody who every time, like today, he's putting stuff about Blue Band, tomorrow is about Cadbury's chocolate, the next day it's about Colgate and etc. At some point, you won't even bother looking at his tweets or her tweets because you know it will be over time that power starts dissipating because think about it, you go to social media to be entertained, to get some information, to learn something or just connect with people. But every time I connect with you on social media, you're always selling something. So I either mute you or I'll just...
True. So you're ending up with a page full of ads, basically.
Yeah, you end up with a page full of ads. Yeah. So over time, that influence that you have starts dropping, I think.
Okay. So do you think, because I believe you also mentioned that the authenticity is something they are trying to solve for on on this platform?
Yes, if you go to their website, that trust is a huge thing. They clearly say they're trying to create trust.
Now, how do you create trust?
I assume by using close circles to advertise products. So if I see Chris engaging in a certain product, I'll feel more comfortable to use it. I believe that is the assumption.
So there is using the product and there is advertising
Yeah.
the product. If you've watched the movie the TV series Silicon Valley.
Yes. About the startups.
sitcom.
Tech startup.
Yeah. So like Elon Musk say that they spent $0 on marketing.
Yeah.
But what they did, they had someone driving a Tesla in the Silicon Valley TV series. So actually, it's not like, hey, Tesla is doing blah, 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 buy Tesla. But they put it in action, in motion. And
It's subtle advertising.
it's subtle advertisement. So that's the thing, that's what's missing. Where someone is using it, let's say I've used, I don't know, some product for 1 month. This was my experience with it. You should buy it.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, new product from company X.
Bam.
Please buy it. So there's a disconnect when you're just advertising and when you put yourself in the situation where you use it. One of the examples that I love is also this guy on Twitter called the former TV journalist from K24, Caleb Garoga. He used to be a journalist. He's like, I'm done with living in the city, moved somewhere in the rural area, started farming. And so he's now an influencer on agricultural products like Davis and Shatliff have like a new system for water capture and pump. So he goes and uses that in his farm and he documents how, there's like, okay, now you need Davis and Shatliff pumps. Now that's, I think, influence.
But do you feel
Agreed.
maybe brands don't want to wait that long? As a brand, I don't want you to take my product for 3 months so that I can get sales. I want the product out. I want the best influencers to sell it.
But some things don't have shortcuts.
Yeah.
I know there is this like quick economy where I want to see results very fast.
Yeah.
But good things take
The right
time.
way
I
would
think-
be what you
I
mentioned.
think.
I think when it comes to capitalism, ethics are thrown out of the window, So I would rather, brands look at it that they would rather sell now as opposed to taking time for people to actually like go through the product and experience it, because it's a longer time. So if a campaign is meant to start 6 months, if you let influencers experience the product, it might take longer, which might actually affect the overall sales
But then now
and
that,
adoption.
sorry,
All right.
I'm hijacking.
Cool. No worries. So I guess my next question is, do you feel that there is a legitimate problem or opportunity that Wowzi is bringing into the African space?
So what actually, I'm a bit conflicted with this one. So in terms of Wowzi, I like the idea that they create jobs.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a brilliant thing, especially in this economy. What I can say is a problem, it kind of desaturates or demystifies the whole how advertising works. Yeah. From the platform, anyone can advertise anything without actually experiencing the product itself. So it brings a question of credibility and trust. So if I see someone has put Colgate up on Facebook or Twitter, do they actually use Colgate, There's no way to verify that. Yeah, if you look at tech reviews like on YouTube and stuff, tech reviewers are given phones before the launch, and they're given about a month to actually live with it, to give their actual review. So if I go buy a phone, I can see there's enough information about it, and not just from one influencer, from several influencers. But from Wowzi's point of view, let's say I'm a hairband advertiser, I don't even need to use the shampoo. I can just put it. But if I saw Jackie and a few fellow people using it over time, maybe I'd have more trust to engage in the product. So the issue of credibility is a big question to ask. Yeah.
Okay. And you, Chris, do you think there's a clear problem statement or an opportunity they're solving for?
I'm not convinced. I'm not. Because I think a few years back, I consulted for a large company and they're creating their social media strategy. One of the things was to decide who they need to work with.
Okay.
And why.
Yeah.
So I was given data on the Twitter campaigns that have been running. Initially, they'd chosen some influencers to work with. So when you look at the ROI, it was close to 0.
Oh, whoa.
making people convert on that. So, like, we're getting these guys, we're paying them a lot of money, but we're not seeing any tractions. Can you analyze these people and tell us who's the best person we should work with? Who talks more about what we want? What topics to talk about? How much engagement they have on certain topics, and etc. So when I did that, I realized first thing was like the top people were considered to be influencers were not as influential when it comes to ROI on whatever campaign they're being pushed. Then second, there's kind of smaller, what it's called the nano influencers. They have influence, but it's not a scalable solution. The platform is not a scalable solution. You have to really dig in and do a lot of research to find this person, pair them up with a very good campaign that you have, and place them in a much more bigger social media strategy for them to work.
Agreed.
So just creating a platform for people to come in, sign up and say, I'm an influencer on this grade, and grading influencers by the number of followers actually is not great.
Yes.
You can have someone who has 1 million plus, they put a post and it has 2 likes. Has someone who has like 100,000 followers, but because in the case, the research that analysis was doing, they cared more about engagement. Engagement is the biggest metric to use. So if you were to make people talk about a certain product, so you can look at how many replies did you have, how many retweets did you have, and that kind of, how many people comment on a tweet, for example, that is what it's great. A lot of people don't have that. They're like, okay, I've posted for Colgate, next, next. They don't do that work of creating that conversation around what they're doing. So it's a problem. It's a very tiny problem that won't be solved with a platform, I think so.
If I ask you, what is the measure of success here? Would it be sales or?
Most of the businesses want sales. That's why they advertise. If I could make sales without advertising, I would be happy. I wouldn't spend any shilling on that. Unless you're working with an NGO which wants to spread information about some cause that they care about, right? Then in that case, engagement and reach would be the metric for success. But in most businesses, I just look at my sales. That's all.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Do you think they have a unique selling proposition? As
So they have an app where you have to sign up. Very lengthy process. So everything boils down to an app. Nowadays, I don't feel like there is, the things you look at and you feel like, wow, like.
Yeah, this is.
So I don't think it has that wow factor, that it's so intuitive that
It's called Wowzi.
But you need to wow me.
Okay.
But I don't feel like, maybe they could have spent 2-3 years figuring out what the solution should be. Yeah. And this doesn't have to be an app. It doesn't have to be a platform.
Yes.
It could be like a research company that helps brand figure out a strategy and who to connect with. Because I think just posting stuff, I don't think works. And there's something we've even forgotten. I remember I had an experience a while back. So I was trying my own little thing to try to set something up. Then I can't remember, someone reached out to me on Facebook, or I reached out to them first. But the conversation was like, I can help you promote whatever you're selling. I was like, oh, fine. Then so we agreed. He told me I'm going to pay 500 shillings per post.
Whoa.
I was like, okay, let's get this started. So I threw in, gave him everything. The same way Wowzi set up. So I sent him the money. I think he had like 20,000 or 30,000 followers on Facebook. Then even had a link in there so I can track how many people visited the website. So I did this at night, woke up in the morning, checked the website stats. I'm like, do I have a wrong setup? Because there was like 0 start from Facebook. I was like, something must be broken. Then I asked the guy, did you actually post it? He was like, yeah, this is the link. So he showed me. I was like, okay, let me wait until evening. So evening comes in, 0. I was like, no.
But so was there engagement? Was there likes? Were there shares?
There was no engagement. There was no likes. There was no shares. There was like maybe 1 like or 2. Maybe he asked a friend or 2 to like it. Then I was like, maybe it was the wrong time to post. Let me wait for like a weekend. So I gave him another link, paid him, did that, 0. Then I came to realize later on when now I was, I stopped it and I came to realize there were massive bots. This guy there's a bot farm where you go and purchase bots and then you can show that you have many followers. Then you use that to claim that you're a influencer. And I remember there's a time when it was I think it was on Twitter. This guy, he was it's called Christian Della. I think he had like 1 million plus followers. At some time, he was like the top 5 folks in Kenya with the number of followers. And then Twitter decided to create some, I don't know, machine learning stuff that detected bots. He lost 300K.
That's a problem Elon Musk has with Twitter.
Right? So you can look at the number of followers. So bots was actually even an issue. So that the company called Bot Farms, where they just create like so many accounts
and then just
with different properties, and then you can come and purchase.
I think the next $1 billion unicorn is probably around human verification at this point.
Yeah.
Because there is no, like, it's a problem that's everywhere. And I'm sure marketers.
And it shouldn't be, sorry to interrupt, but
No,
that should not be interpreted as a KYC. No one should start thinking, my KYC cannot be used for human verification. I think that's already solved. That's going in the wrong direction.
But that's already solved.
Yes, there's the image capture.
With the capture and recapture.
No. But no, bots are being trained to bypass those things.
Yeah.
And they will get better over time and bypass that.
Yeah.
What's the easiest way to know you're talking to a person?
The Turing test.
No, just face to face. Like,
I think
as I usually say, the easiest biometric thing that for identification humans have always had is
conversation.
Conversation and seeing someone's face and you're like, oh yeah, you look like a human. Remember, you're a human.
So how do you verify on Twitter or Facebook that this is an actual person?
It's becoming harder and harder because AI is becoming more sentient.
Yeah.
I think you saw what Google did.
Well,
Okay, guys, just bringing back this conversation because we can. No, Chris. Okay, we are Wowzi. You feel they don't have a very unique selling proposition. Remy, what's your take on this?
I think their selling proposition was trust. Yeah.
Trust, yeah.
Yeah, but speaking on trust, how they approach it is where they go wrong, if you ask me, because I can imagine that I'm just a casual user and my timeline is just flooded with ads. Yeah, and over time I can't verify if these ads are quite legit. We have the bot factor, as you spoke about. So that in itself will make me not want to engage with any social channels.
Like me, for
because
example.
It's just ads.
So
So they want to build trust, but their methodology and approach to it builds a lot of mistrust.
Before you even go that deep, their work is to influence for brands so that people can make purchasing decisions.
Yeah.
Have you ever purchased something off social media by being influenced?
Personally, no.
YouTube. Like when
So
I look
why
at
do you
tech
think somebody else would do that? What are the chances?
Yeah.
I know Instagram purchases are big, and some people do that for a specific type of product. But were you influenced by somebody, or you saw someone use it?
No.
To purchase it?
Mainly for me personally, it's been like ads. Like, for example, I remember something like quite recently, something like Brave Browser. I always used to see it. I'm like, you see an ad on YouTube, you're like, what is this thing?
Yeah.
But it wasn't someone pushing it. I was just like, their proposition sounds cool. Let me go try it out.
Yeah. So the idea that they can create this distribution channel for ads via influencers, I don't think it works well.
Okay. Yeah. So my question, and just looking at like their customers look like they're loads of big corporates, the Safaricoms, the EABL, their corporate organizations. Do you think maybe perhaps their business model is to help these companies with their marketing versus like smaller brands,
So we look at big brands and what is the aim for a marketing campaign? Let's say it's to create awareness. Then creating awareness, it might work because creating awareness is as much as just taking a billboard and slapping it somewhere and hope someone who drives by sees it.
Yeah.
That's it. So there's little work needed when you just need to create awareness. Yeah. But when you want to drive sales, that's now where the real hard work comes in. So maybe big companies are launching a new product or they're changing something in their business and they like more people to know about it. Then in that case, it could work. I think Jumbo Jet was launching a flight to Goma in DRC. So what they did, they took a bunch of travel bloggers, gave them free tickets so that you can document your experience. I don't know how that went, but
With Jumbo Jet.
Yeah, Jumbo Jet.
So they document the flights or the
Everything.
whole experience.
Just your experience. Like, I boarded at JKIA, landed in Goma at 9. What travel bloggers do best?
So
I ended up at this hotel, 10 things to do in Goma or stuff like that.
So Jumbo Jet are also, they offer experience as a service, as a travel package, or?
Because
it's just
it's a rabbit hole, but airline industry is about experience. Why would you fly Etihad and not fly KQ?
Because of the actual flight, not
No,
post
if
the
you're a
flight.
thrift traveler, then you only care about your seat. You get there, pass out, wake up from the other side of the world. But they're selling that. The main point was that the way they were doing I call it ad distribution, was to let you know more about the business, know you more about what it entails to fly. Jumbo Jet never did international travels in Kenya. Now this is their first. This kind of stuff. So, but if Jumbo Jet was, our tickets are now 10% free during Easter, then that they can just drop it into different channels similar like that. But the one that wanted to launch a flight to Goma, that needed a much more deeper engagement, I think.
My question is, did these influencers influence the activities in Goma? Because what could have happened indirectly is that the influencers have advertised Goma itself, because the means of getting there doesn't matter.
But that's why where I think smart marketing comes into play. Right? So I think, I think the Wowzi way is the dumb advertising, and then the one that if you advertise Goma, and someone loves Goma, then he'll go like, I want to go to Goma. What the first thing will come up?
Jumbo Jet.
Jumbo Jet. So I don't have to put it in your face like, buy this, go to Goma. But if Goma is beautiful, if we never knew about Goma, most people.
I would assume people would think, I want to go there, but okay, what's the most economical way?
If you're a bus guy, you take a bus. But if you're a flying guy, then you look around and then find like all over on the social media and internet. So there's Jumbo Jet.
Awesome, cool. Anything you wanted to add?
I'd say it's a miss for me.
It's a miss.
It's a miss for me. They have an idea, and the problem is we have an idea, we can do something with the idea, fine. What problem does it solve? Now they've gone out looking for a problem when they had a solution already. So they're like, influencers out there have people watching their content, enjoying their content. They're not being paid for this. They should be paid for this. And you can also create jobs for this. Okay, let's do that. So how do you ensure influencers are paid? Or will become like an agency that, because it feels like they're an agency that ranks influencers and then decides how much, and helps the influencer get a third, like the companies to come in and this is the brand you're going to work with, this is how much you're going to get, this is our cut of it. Then it just feels like they're just trying to be a man in the middle, a broker, sadly to say, and I'm not a big fan of, like, we're just going to be, like, digitize the broker. Yeah, so for me, it's a miss. The best way they could have done it was, when you mentioned, let's have them as a research organization come in, come in and tell Safaricom, your best influencer to work with will be this person for these reasons, because of the public data that we've analyzed from their various social media channels is this. That makes more sense than telling me to advertise Safaricom because I have 10,000 followers.
Okay, cool.
I'd like to add on to what you said. So yeah, I think I'm very fond of what Wowzi is trying to do, but in terms of the approach, I'm not quite keen on it, because they came up with an idea without actually understanding what the problem is. And I can speak from a designer, because design and research intertwined. We're like modern day philosophers or seekers of truth when it comes to human behavior. So you can clearly tell that research is something they didn't take into play. Even them becoming a research firm wouldn't really make much sense, because already they didn't do enough research on how the platform should work, should benefit. So yeah, coming to the problem, creating companies based on solutions without realizing there's an actual problem is very dangerous, and we saw that with Kune. I'm not wishing that on Wowzi, but I would propose that I can see that they can fine-tune their idea to actually work well. As much as Chris thinks I think there's a possibility of fine-tuning it in terms of credibility.
I'm assuming the problem statement is that brands find it harder to connect to influencers.
Yeah.
I think that's the presumptuous...
That is the problem, yeah.
Then that needs to be validated. And if it's validated, then they're in business.
Yeah.
If not...
I don't understand how it's hard for...
Safari.
If I have 10,000, if I have 1 million followers, how hard is it to get into my DM? And if you have a verified account in Safaricom, of course I'll pay attention.
I feel like
I don't see influencer meet brand connection is not the problem. Maybe they felt the problem was influencers are doing unpaid work.
But that's not...
maybe by accident you have product placement.
I don't believe that's exactly true, because I've most of the ladies vloggers who do like This Is S, Nancy Mwai, etc. They should have like a product review. They're reviewing whatever skincare product that they have. Sometimes it could be that it's their own liking or to build their profile. Like, I like to show you how, if you have acne, this is like the product that worked, and etc. That one, it's your own choice to do it. So it's not unpaid work. Unpaid work means that someone contracted you to do some job and then failed to pay you. In this case. So I don't think influencers not being paid is a problem.
And I completely agree with you, Chris. Like, I create content. No one has asked me to. Like, I can't say I demand payment from... It's like a choice of my time and my effort and bringing people on. Like, that's a choice you make. It's not like, hey, like I need to be like, why would I be paid for this? Just eventually it would be nice, but you are trying to create a network and a community, which hopefully...
Nice that none of us can actually...
But okay, like if you are to immerse I believe in immersion. If you are to immerse yourself as a full-time influencer, you're chasing the bag per se. Yeah, this is your livelihood. Your job is there to sell, and that brings a problem of credibility. But personally, I'm just there to sell. It's my livelihood.
First of all, I know careers. The careers which never existed 10 years ago that exist currently, and new careers will come in. I'm very doubtful if an influencer is a career that we could build it out as, say, I'm a full-time influencer. I doubt it.
Kim Kardashian.
Oh, come on, let's Kim Kardashian into this, okay? Sex tapes and marrying Kanye West.
Listen, I'm not, honestly, I'm not a big...
He's done nothing.
Listen to me, I'm honestly not a big fan of those characters at all, but we can't ignore the fact that they have monetized whatever they have. We cannot ignore that.
Does she sell her own products or sell other people's products?
I think a bit of both, but I think from my understanding, the most powerful thing in this world and why influencers are successful is their ability to articulate yourself. If you can conquer that, you can know how to speak well, you can know how to get deals, you can know how to...
Let me tell you a true...
Okay, guys, one person at a time.
Let me tell you a true influencer. A true influencer is, this pastor who dances, I usually say his videos as memes on Twitter.
Pastor
Nganga. That was a real influencer. Now he's a real influencer. He gets people to come to church and give sadaka. So he really can figure out how to get that money out of your pocket. That's something that is lacking generally. I would wager that Rihanna will do very well selling Fenty products, but I think she would fail in selling other products. I'd wager that.
Other products that she's not...
No, someone gave her some, I don't know.
Not
MacBook.
a random,
Sell a MacBook.
You'd be surprised. Sex sells.
I doubt it.
To make you look good.
I don't think I'd buy a MacBook because someone's half naked next to it. I don't think I'd buy a MacBook.
So I think in design... Sorry.
Okay, finish.
In design, there is form and functionality, right? So when you're buying a MacBook, you're more concerned about the functionality. Does it work? And then there's the form where now the sexiness comes in. Like it's a Mac, strong man, nice boob. Look at that girl. Oh, nice. That's where you can add the extra things. But in certain products, you're more concerned about if, I don't know, do we have technology influences?
Yeah, a lot. Okay, also in terms of whatever you've just said, there are two extremes in terms of market share. So we have the laggers who don't, especially in tech, like who are not, I'll use tech as an example, who are not really tech savvy per se. Then you have experts like us who know what exactly a MacBook and the power it holds. So I think if you look at it from that, I'm an influencer and I'm just selling something. So Rihanna might sell a laptop to you, yeah, and you might not buy it because it doesn't have the functionality. Fine, but there's another person who will buy it because they don't care about it and they don't know too much about what a laptop can do. You know, so there are two sides of the
agree with
coin.
you, but the question is back: do you think someone can become a full-time influencer? Do you think so?
I think
I mean,
there are
if
people
my-
who are surviving, as part-time.
Surviving.
They have surviving as influencers.
Are they thriving?
Thriving, no, I think you cannot do it full time. You have maybe have your own brand or your own business or something else you're doing on the side. And like you said, there are certain jobs for certain years or eras that will happen. Influencers at some point will just, I believe that's at some point and yeah, it's wrong. Fine, influencers maybe 100 years from now won't exist because yeah, it will be an exhausted career path because 100 years from now, we'll have things which we see in shows like Mirror's Edge, Ghost in the Shell, that kind of technology, that kind of advertising where advertising is in your face, it's embedded in your neural link or whatever. Why do you need an influencer to sell you at that stage?
If you own your product and you influence your own product, is that a job?
Steve Jobs.
Is that a job in itself?
So I think like that's a good question, but I do think going back to it's a journey. Like it's not like I wake up and today I'm selling this yellow mark to everyone. Like it's for me it's that journey and that authenticity in that journey that I will be like, yo, maybe this is a legit influencer, something I would listen. But like it comes back to that credibility and trust. It's
Let's say is Elon Musk an influencer?
yes.
Does he have a job?
Yes.
Full-time. 3
Very
jobs.
busy. He's a very busy guy.
Yeah. So
Extremely.
But actually,
So-
yeah.
okay, there's a fine line. So you can't survive full time as an influencer.
But you have
if
to
it's your own.
Yeah.
But you should remember.
But also one thing I wanted to just clarify. I think building a brand takes time. It's
Correct.
one of the toughest things to do. Marketing is easy, but people skip the building a brand and go straight to marketing, which is like you need to take the time to build your brand, who know your personality. Like just you having trending one day, then bam, you have 1 million followers, and bam, you're an influencer. That's kind of how like the influencer space works in this country, which is like very uncomfortable and very not trustworthy.
Do you consider Jalango to be an influencer?
I think he considers himself. He's everywhere.
I see him
And
advertising.
he sells anything, Mabati, 1 day credit loans, like he sells everything.
So I think that's someone who like that's for me. I'd be like, is that credible?
It's
like
not
that's
credible,
that's
man.
like what are your actual values? Who's Jalango? Like what do you value?
There's no ethos. in
Like for me, I'm just
capitalism.
like yeah. There's no ethos.
So
no
ideally,
ethos at all.
he would be on Wowzi,
Yeah.
and then a Mabati company would come in and say, "Hey, like to hammer this into people's head that this Mabati is better than the rest."
Yeah.
Then next
And he
year,
lives in a stone house.
yeah.
But then like the Mabati company are going straight to Jalango.
Yes, and that's the
Right
kind
now.
of thing. Yeah, and actually, those top tier influencers, brands will just jump this platform and go straight to them because you'll sit down and if I ask you today, who are the top music influencers? You can count them.
Musicians, you mean?
I think former musicians, if you can call them that.
Musicians are influencers.
Okay, so one thing I always feel like a startup should do, like if you think of the startups like outside the country, even within, it's like they've disrupted. Like M-Pesa disrupted, Airbnb disrupted. Would you say Wowzi is a disruptor?
No.
No.
But you don't have to be a disruptor.
Actually,
to be
I
a
think there are
startup.
multiple platforms that exist that do something similar or a version of this. And actually, what they should have added is what I was telling about clout.com, clout with a K, where they take in your social media.
This is how much clout.
Have. They score you, they do some machine learning work, topic modeling, and figure out what are you known for, what do you talk about, technology, climate change, etc. So immediately they have those topics. And then they give you a percentile rating that in the world of technology, you're at the 10th percentile, 50th percentile. So it's very easy. If you take the whole, back then when Twitter API was free, they would go through the whole Twitter feed and say all over the world, there are 600,000 people who talk about technology and rate them by engagement and then tell you are on this percentile. So that's very easy for a brand to come in and say, okay, now I'm interested in the top. Or they can easily tell where your influence level is in that case. That's an aspect if they add it to the platform. Now it could start having some meat to it.
Yeah, free feedback for free, man. That's amazing. Anything and I heard you whisper in my ear, you don't think to be a startup you need to be a disruptor.
Yeah, because no one is ever going to reinvent the wheel. As in, they're just going to copy paste, to have alternate versions. So you don't need to disrupt industries. Maybe you could figure out how to do something slightly better, and that gives you an edge. And you create the jobs, and you create profits for your shareholders, and everyone's happy. Wowzi as a disruptor? No, I don't think they were trying to be a disruptor. I hope they weren't trying to be a disruptor.
But you don't have to be.
You don't have to be.
At the end of the day, you just want to build a business,
Yeah.
make profits, and go home. I don't think a butcher wants to be a disruptor.
Okay.
I'm going to chop this meat in a different way. He just wants to set up a business where he has customers and makes profit. So you don't necessarily have to be a disruptor.
But do you think the best startups or the best businesses, the ones that will be profitable, are the ones that disrupt?
I think if you look at, a disruptor, what you're going for is market share.
Yeah.
You want to capture a very big market, or you want to create a new market that never existed and dominate that particular market. I think that's what you go for. But a lot of resources is needed in that: funding, time, research, fine-tuning your product. Sometimes that patience is not there, and the resources.
Do startups need to be disruptors?
Is Wowzi a
Is Wowzi a disruptor? That's also a question.
to be disrupted.
Yeah.
For Wowzi, before I make any concrete conclusion, I always like using 4 pillars.
Yeah.
So, is it feasible? Number one, how easy is it to create a network of influencers who can add to their goal? Is it desirable? Is it really wanted by the market? Do influencers actually want such a platform for them? Is it viable? Can it work? No, their approach, again, is totally wrong. And is it sustainable? Does it create a continuous cycle of demand and supply? So, yes, it is feasible, it's easy to create. It might be desirable by some nano influencers who are small. Viability, not so much because of their approach. Sustainability, there'll always be a supply and demand between brands wanting to reach their end users. There will always be that cycle. So with the viability knocked out, I guess no. Yeah.
Awesome. Any last words on Wowzi? Chris, go first.
So I think the main aim of a startup is to find a business model that will become profitable at a longer time. So maybe this is the first iteration of what they thought would work. And maybe they've been in the business for 3 years, I think.
Yeah, about 3 years,
for that. So I think they should validate that idea more. If it's like Remy mentioned, is it wanted? Who are our customers? Can we have repeat businesses over time? If it's not, they should just kill it and figure out what else is needed within the influencer community, if at all there is anything for that. But as it is, I think when we go to the cemetery of startups, we'll find it there 5 years from now.
The cemetery. I didn't know there was a cemetery.
I don't like the problem I don't understand the problem they're trying to solve. I don't think that it's the best approach they are using. It's a noble idea in terms of their mission for their million jobs. But again, those jobs are not, and it's what you said, those jobs are not sustainable. I'll go on their platform, I'll do 2-3 gigs, I'll have 10 months of sadness, or no, go to the page, no open jobs. So that doesn't seem to me like it's sustainable. There are businesses which don't need to be sustainable. There are things which you only get once, and the demand is only there. For example, vaccines. The demands are only there because people are being born who are not vaccinated. So that has, if people stopped having babies, then all those industries for vaccines would go bust. So I feel they're in that sort of situation where their demand is fleeting at best. I'm sorry I'm being a bit harsh, but I don't believe they've been there for 3 years. That's surprising. But I think with those 3 years, they must have some good data and they can pivot.
Yeah.
And maybe they can be one of the few startups which actually pivot successfully into a new business. I'd want them to pivot into something new. I don't think this works for them long term.
Collecting data is one thing, but interpreting it is another. So
Yeah,
they
true.
could have gone
So
very wrong in that
Yeah.
aspect.
So we could assume they've not interpreted their data correctly for the last 3 years.
Yes.
So
Okay.
there's no pivoting.
Another for the cemetery. Remy?
Yeah, I think I've said all I could say. Yeah, unfortunately, Wowzi can't work. Yeah, just for me, it's the huge credibility aspect that stands out. Yeah.
But it's the opportunity to prove us wrong.
Oh yeah, this definitely, and we're not like, this platform is not around being naysayers. As I said, we're being very practical, very open, asking legitimate questions, which I believe. But yeah, there's always an opportunity. 10 years down the line, when you are the $1 billion company in Kenya, please come to this channel and say, look at us now, for sure. Cool. Just to summarize, we're going to score Wowzi based on viability, desirability, sustainability, and design. Okay? So starting with the first one and out of 1 to 5. Okay?
Okay.
Yeah. So in terms of viability,
I'll give it a 2.
okay. Feasibility,
Feasibility, I would give it a 2.
okay. Desirability,
A 1.
okay. Sustainability,
A 1.
and design.
Like a 3. It's okay.
3.
Yeah.
Mishay, in terms of viability,
1.
feasibility,
Nice-ish. 2 would be nice.
desirability,
I think people would desire it short term, so I'll give them a 3.
sustainability,
Not sustainable. 0.
and design.
1.
Okay, cool. Remy.
Aye.
Okay, so in terms of viability.
I'll simplify it for our viewers. For our viewers. So viability, can it work? No. 1. Yeah.
Feasibility,
Is it easy to create? Yeah. Very easy to create a network of influencers. Yeah. 5. I'd give it 5. Yeah.
desirability,
2.
okay. Sustainability,
2.
and design.
1. I'm a designer, so.
So there you have it. Those are the scores. Look, if you're a Wowzi employee or Wowzi the founders, yeah, let us know. And thanks for listening. Ciao.
Yeah! Wowzi! 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 Wowzi!